reportedly went fishing drowned on their return from the expedition. Although it's the close fishing season, the fishermen went to sea as part of customary rites preceding the annual Homowo in Tema. The two bodies, according to our Tema regional correspondent, Michael Dewonu, were washed ashore on Thursday morning.
On the 12th of August will be the Homowo in Tema, but before that, there are a number of rites that is being performed before the Homowo festival itself takes off, and going on the sea for some fish in preparation for the cookery, which is being used for the Homowo. It's part of this whole ritual that happens. But the unfortunate thing is that there's a close season. And so the chief fisher man told us that permission was granted this two groups, which is made up of 12 fisher folks that were allowed to go on the fishing expedition to at least perform this customary rite and then also get some sample of fish for the Homowo festival. And this unfortunate situation happened. And you also know that because of the close season, there are patrols on the sea to make sure that nobody flouts this particular 1 month ban of not going for fishing. And so we are told, we are yet to really confirm which of the task force had an encounter with these fisher folks at sea, which resulted in this unfortunate situation. And so we are told that there was a task force on the sea which came into some confrontation with this fisher folks, and then it resulted in a boat capsized, and we are having these two fishermen drowning as a result.
To the courts now, where the Apex Court has dismissed an application by Mr. James Gyakye Quayson, urging the court to reverse a ruling of the High Court not to allow for further disclosures in the criminal trial he is facing. Mr. Quayson, through his lawyers, filed a certiorari application in which he argued that the High Court erred in refusing the application to order the Attorney General to make available further disclosures to him on the case.
Lawyers for Mr. James Gyakye Quayson argued that the trial judge at the High Court erred by not allowing the application for additional disclosures to be heard. He also argued that the High Court accepted and relied on a letter from the Attorney General which was not verified by way of affidavit in opposition. The letter stated that there was additional disclosures to be served on Mr. Quayson. Mr. Justin Teriwaja, who represented the embattled MP, said the decision by the court was based on a document which was not on oath. He said the court should have put into contemplation the lack of legal capacity of the document. The Attorney General, Mr. Godfred Yeboah-Dame, opposing the application, said it was incomplete and did not properly invoke the jurisdiction of the Apex Court. He claimed that although the application was by Mr. James Gyakye Quayson, the affidavit supporting the application lacked legal authority and same violated the rules of the court, rendering it incomplete. The Attorney General also denied the assertion that Mr. Gyakye Quayson's lawyers were not allowed to move the application at the High Court. He referred to portions of the High Court's records from that day's hearing to support his contention. The panel, presided over by Chief Justice Mrs. Justice Gertrude Tokonu, who examined the application, said it lacked merit. The court said it was satisfied that the application was heard by the High Court and was subsequently dismissed. Meanwhile, the court cautioned Mr. James Gyakye Quayson against his insistent failure to show up in court for cases he files for determination.
And now to Parliament, where the House on July 27 passed the Whistleblower Amendment Bill 2023. The bill aims to amend the Whistleblower Act of 2006 to expand sources of money for the fund and to set the mode for rewarding a whistleblower as well as related matters.
8, same application. I take it that no objection. So Minister for Lands and Natural Resources for on behalf of the Attorney General and Minister for Justice.
Mr. Speaker, that the Whistleblower Amendment Bill 2023 be now read a third time. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Motion moved and seconded is for the consideration of the House. Honorable members, there being no consideration, I put the question. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it.
An act to amend the Whistleblower Act 2006, Act 720, to expand the sources of money for the fund, provide a ceiling for the fund, specify the mode of rewarding a whistleblower, and provide for related matters.
Honorable members, the Whistleblower Amendment Bill 2023 is duly read the third time and passed.
We stay in the House where Parliament has passed the Contracts Amendment Bill 2022, which seeks to amend the Contracts Act of 1960. This is to provide for persons or parties authorized to enter into contracts or transactions on behalf of the state to pay any sum of money due under a contract or a transaction to be calculated at simple interest. Under the Contracts Act of 1960, there were no provisions on a common pathway for the calculation of interest due on government contracts. The primary objective is to protect the interest of the state with regard to interest payments and effectively reduce the cost of engaging in a contract or transaction by the state.
Item 26, motion. Attorney General and Minister for Justice, there is an application that the Minister for Lands and Forestry should do so for and on behalf of the Attorney General. The third reading of the Contracts Amendment Bill.
Mr. Speaker, we have no objection. We have done the bill already.
Yes, Honourable Minister for Lands and Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, that the Contract Amendment Bill 2022 be now read a third time. So, I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, motion moved. Any seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Honourable members, motion moved and seconded. It's now for the consideration of the House. Honourable members, there being no consideration, I put the question. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say no. Honourable members, the ayes have it.
An act to amend the Contracts Act 1960, Act 25, to provide for the type of interest to be paid on a sum of money due to a party of a contract or transaction entered into on behalf of the Republic.
Honourable members, the Contracts Amendment Bill 2022 is duly read the third time and passed.
President Akufo-Addo says ECOWAS is preoccupied with the need to free the region from the grips of the insurgencies that have engulfed Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea, and now Niger. According to the president, it is incumbent that ECOWAS stands together to root out this menace and guarantee the peace and stability of the region because they are the building blocks to developing the sub-region.
Liberia's 176th birthday remains a journey of mixed blessings. The road to the restoration of constitutional rule in Liberia had been bumpy, but what remains is how to translate the gains of democracy, which took off fully in 2003 after the signing of the Accra Comprehensive Peace Agreement, into the creation of equal opportunities for all despite their backgrounds. Ghana's contribution to restoration of peace and stability in Liberia was crucial with regards to contribution of troops for the ECOMOG contingent, which helped to maintain peace and order in the war-torn country. And recognizing this, President George Weah honored President Akufo-Addo, who was foreign minister when President Charles Taylor finally left the country for peace to prevail. He was decorated with the award of the honor of the color of the state. President Akufo-Addo said the resilience shown by Liberia after the war is worth celebrating, appealed to Liberians to look beyond where they come from and channel their energies to work towards prosperity for all.
So whether you are Bassa, Gio, Jabo, Pele, Kru, Vai, Mandingo, Mende, Congo, or from any other ethnic group, I appeal to you to look beyond from where you come. You must deepen the cohesion amongst you and promote a spirit of reconciliation for the sake of your beloved country, its progress and prosperity. You are Liberians first and foremost, and I urge you to wear that accolade with pride.
On the insurgency in the sub-region, President Akufo-Addo called on all to demonstrate their commitment to democratic governance, to create a business-friendly environment and transform economies into value-added ones.
All of us in the West African region of ECOWAS, of which Liberia is a proud member, are today preoccupied with the need to free the region of the terrorist insurgency that has engulfed Mali, Burkina Faso, parts of Niger and Nigeria, and is threatening the peace and stability of the coastal nations such as Cote d'Ivoire, Togo, Benin, and my own nation of Ghana. It is incumbent that in our generation we all stand together to defeat this menace and guarantee the peace and stability which are essential to the rapid economic development of our area, the surest way to banish poverty in our time.
Liberia is the only country in Africa that was not colonized. Edward Nyakun, reporting for GBC News.
You're watching the Breakfast News on GTV Ghana. There are plans to develop a national action agenda on business and human rights in Ghana, especially for people with disabilities. It's a proposal to help improve the conduct of business and also deter people from infringing on the rights of employees. To involve human rights activists and disability groups in the process, a consultative session organized by the Office of the Attorney General, the Ministry of Justice, and the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice has taken place in Accra. Here's a report by Oforiwa Darko.
By Shraj was conducted on 3-pillar framework to identify what the gaps are in business and human rights protection. The gaps include inadequate labor protection for informal and temporal workers, gender-based discrimination, managerial objections to the creation of unions, inadequate care for persons with special needs, especially the disabled. A lead anchor of the National Action Planning Steering Committee, Victor Brobe, noted that a lot needs to be done in addressing human rights violations in various business settings.
On many occasions, it's companies, big, small, domestic, international, who are the violators. And so a new international legal regime needed to be created to address this gap. So that was what led to the development of the UN Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights. This is what caused Kofi Annan to initiate the process for the development of the business and human rights principles.
A member of the National Action Planning Steering Committee, Clement Gadugbe, said that a scorecard would soon be generated for companies to be ranked according to human rights policies by conducting human rights impact assessment.
Do your business, make your profit, but at the same time, don't violate the rights of people. So some of the recommendations we are making is that we will come up with some scorecards where if you're a business that is constantly violating the right of people, you can be given a negative grade and people will not want to do business with you. I believe all businesses want to keep a clean scorecard or a clean sheet, so they will all adhere to some of the recommendations we will make.
All state and private enterprises are entreated to respect and support the rights of persons by implementing good practices that are inclusive of all persons at the workplace. For GBC News, Oforiwa Darko reporting.
Now, the Hunger Project, a global non-profit organization, has launched its new vision and mission, which focus on the commitment to the sustainable end of hunger across the world. The new strategy will also help facilitate individuals with collective actions to transform the systems of inequity that create hunger.
Has been working in Ghana since 1995 and is empowering community partners to end their own hunger and poverty. The project has 45 epicenters across the country with 38 CHIPS compounds in the eastern region. Through this epicenter strategy, typically 5,000 to 15,000 people are brought together as a cluster of rural villages. The Hunger Project is also working with partners to successfully access the basic services needed to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals and lead lives of self-reliance. The country director of the Hunger Project, Mr. Samuel Afrani, who enumerated some development projects, said hunger is getting worse due to conflicts, the COVID-19 pandemic and climate change, which is affecting farming practices.
Hunger has been getting worse and worse due to the certain circumstances such as climate change, conflict, global inequality, and the COVID-19 pandemic. The changing climate in the world is indeed threatening the usual ways that we have been doing our agriculture.
The epicenters created across the country also help with banking, IT and health services. The Hunger Project has also piloted a new program in partnership with Microsoft and USAID to support economic empowerment for young women, providing them meaningful connectivity and eliminating barriers for women's digital inclusion. 3 epicenters in Ghana now host a fully connected ICT center with trained micro operators to assist women and the youth to gain access to training and other important content. A representative of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Mr. Shaibu Muniri, said involving the youth in agriculture will attract a lot of investment in the sector.
The new phase of the Planting for Food and Jobs will involve the private sector and getting more youthful participation in the program. It seeks to achieve private sector participation with emphasis on value chain development. And most importantly, it makes a paradigm shift from input subsidy to credit scheme.
The campaign of a world with no hunger is the focus of the Hunger Project, with its catchphrase, "Hunger is unacceptable and must not be tolerated."
The Ghana Investment Promotion Center has launched the 20th edition of the Ghana Club 100 Awards, scheduled to take place in October this year in Accra. The occasion was also used to launch the Ghana Investment and Trade Week, which will be held in collaboration with the MIE Group in Dubai, who are organizers of the China Trade Week.
The Ghana Investment Promotion Center GIPC's Ghana Club 100 features an annual collation of 100 outstanding companies in the Ghanaian business landscape. With excellence as a hallmark, the Ghana Club 100 aims to celebrate and recognize companies making remarkable strides in their various business sectors. The 20th edition of the Ghana Club 100 Awards is set to ensure that businesses leverage on the opportunities the AFCFTA offers. At the launch and the signing of an agreement with MIE, the Chief Executive of the GIPC, Mr. Yofi Grant, said a major highlight of the 20th edition is the Ghana Investment and Trade Week, which will feature a lot of exhibitions and investment forums.
What for us is more important is that we celebrate success. We do celebrate success, and at GIPC, although we are focused on investors, we consider every business an investment that somebody has made, never mind where it comes from, whether it's from Ghana or international. And for us, we want to see the Ghana Club 100 grow bigger and bigger, and that is why today we are partnering with MIE to just not bring a celebration of the top 100 companies, but to create an opportunity for investors, traders, and business people to understand their mandate and how they can facilitate economic growth.
David Wang is the founder and chairman of the MIE Group.
We have a seminar, we have the B2B matching, we have a B2G discussion, and we have G2G and collaboration. So it means we have the 3 days exhibition, plus we have a 5 days program, totally 3 days exhibition, and we have we have a tourism for the free zone, we have the workshop, etc. It's a very rich program. We are expecting on October 23rd to 27th this year.
The Ghana Investment and Trade Week will have a lineup with over 300 exhibitors, 100 plus speakers and presentations, and more than 50 workshops. This diverse array of participants will create a dynamic environment that will foster networking, facilitate knowledge exchange, and allow for the exploration of creative investment opportunities.
The Techiman South and North Cashew Traders and Exporters Association wants the government to address cashew price fluctuations and disparities on the local market to protect the farmers' interests and guarantee them sustainable livelihoods ahead of the next season. The chairman of the Techiman South and North Cashew Traders and Exporters, Mr. Mumuni Issa, in an interview with GBC News, said government's guaranteed price for the commodity would ensure sustainability of the industry in the Bono East region, as well as support socio-economic development. Here's a report by Samuel Ayama.
The cashew season is over in the Bono East region. Even though government pegged a 10% dried kilo of cashew nuts at 8 cedis 50 pesos, farmers were at a point selling the same weight for as low as 4 Ghana cedis, whilst the buyers blamed the farmers for their inability to dry the nuts, compelling them to buy it below the required price and then hiring laborers to dry it before exporting the commodity. Farmers also blamed the buyers for following them to buy the nuts at the farm gates, hence their inability to dry the nuts. Others also faulted government's inability to establish government-controlled buying centers to guide the purchase of the cash crop at a fixed price. They describe it as long overdue because the situation had given room for individuals, particularly foreigners, to dictate the pricing at the expense of the farmers and the local traders. The chairman of the Techiman South and North Cashew Traders and Exporters Association, Mr. Mumuni Issa, appealed to government to resolve all bottlenecks in the cashew value chain ahead of next season.
All her companies are now my established wasino. Those quality name as a born crab former. Omono no money ready sank on better to see. But enam say other company ketuana or mo bet Edo mo be from tete kwan channel. Kwan mo fast or mo tete no man so no. Enna ma mo so teso. Nti sa how no see best aban say. One way no more to me.
Mr. Issa said the association will continue to engage the farmers in ensuring that they both play their roles effectively next season.
Cashew no say udi go wi asa wo hata no ebe ho no hu say kuro ana mark e wo cashew no. Cashew so say mark wo ho asa cashew no e rejected. Ente kuafo no say you be so cashew duama awoso no e manate no cashew mpesa ana odi dua be bro cashew ate no manato from emwaye anasa wabo cashew na no na wodi dua na e bro atete fruit na fruit so no de nyina na ese cashew and especially ketua ewo mu no san ketua no emwa ma quality nyede emma.
The government on December 15, 2022 announced the minimum farm gate price for cashew as 8 cedis 50 pesos per kilo for the 2023 crop season from 5 cedis per kilo in the 2022 crop season in Techiman. GBC News observed that the influx of cashew from neighboring Cote d'Ivoire affected the price in Ghana, and refusal to sell it cheaply means stocks are piled up. Samuel Ayama, GBC News, Techiman.
And now to international news, where Niger's President Mohamed Bazoum has issued a defiant message on Twitter after soldiers announced a coup. Trouble began early on Wednesday when troops from the Presidential Guard took him captive. His foreign minister has said the takeover does not have the backing of the whole military, but the army chief has now said he backs the junta. The US and France, the former colonial power, both have military bases in the uranium-rich country and have condemned the coup. While many people in the capital of Niamey went about their usual business, it remained unclear who was in control of the country and which side the majority might support. The country had been seen as the last major partner standing against extremism in a francophone region where anti-French sentiment had opened the way for the Russian private military group Wagner. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Thursday assured leaders and officials from African countries that Moscow would provide grain for sale or free to the neediest countries to avert the uncertainty in the global food supply caused by Russia's refusal to guarantee safe passage for Ukrainian grain exports across the Black Sea.
Neediest African countries, but in Washington, the White House pushed back on Putin's claim of professing to resolve the food crisis affecting the world's most impoverished countries. Russia last week rejected an extension of the nearly year-long Black Sea Grain Initiative, contending that exports of Russian grains and fertilizers were not being treated fairly under the deal. Moscow has since said it will treat any ships sailing the Black Sea as possibly delivering arms to Ukraine for its fight against Russia's 17-month war and could attack them. Putin also announced other moves to deepen relations with Africa, increased enrollment of African students in Russian universities, the opening of Russian state news media bureaus in many African countries, and a proposed common information space in Russia and Africa, within which objective, unbiased information about events taking place in the world will be broadcast to Russian and African audiences.
And now let's take the weather. Let's go to our weatherman, Mr. Frederick Kujo with the Ghana Meteo Agency. Frederick, good morning. These heat waves going all around the world, have they affected us here in Ghana?
Good morning, Kapui, and a very good morning to all viewers as well. Well, these heat waves have not affected us here yet in Ghana. During this season, we expect very good temperatures here in Ghana, and then we are still having our good temperatures.
All right. What's the weather? What's the weather looking like for today? Yeah.
Okay, so for the next 24 hours, we expect mostly cloudy weather across the entire country, with some fog patches over the forest belt, reducing the visibility to a range of about 4 to 9 kilometers. From this morning through to the afternoon, we expect some intermittent light rain or drizzle over southern Ghana, and then also into tomorrow, we expect more of the cloudiness with still intermittent light rain or drizzle, especially for areas along the coast. Places over the northern sector this morning are having some thundery activities, very massive one, almost engulfing the entire portions of the northern sector from northeast, the upper east, the northern, and then the southern, and through to the upper western region, anticipated for thundery activities this morning into the afternoon. We don't expect warm temperatures from now through to the weekend, more of cool temperatures ranging from about 22 degrees Celsius to a maximum of 33 degrees Celsius for the entire country.
All right, Frederick, have a great weekend. Thank you very much for the weather report. Wrapping up our bulletin for this morning, the 28th of July, 2023. Coming up next is the 520th edition of the GTV Breakfast Show. We've got a lot for you this morning. It's a packed buffet table. Today is it's World Hepatitis Day, so in a couple of minutes we have a conversation on that. We'll be looking at bullying in school. What's your experience bouncing off the Adisco assault case that took place a couple of days ago? And then we'll wrap everything up at the end of today's show with music from your favorite musicians, favorite producer, Reynolds, the gentleman, will be gracing us right here on the show. Hashtag GTV Breakfast, WhatsApp number 055-556-1034. I promise I do this. I dedicated this to my mom. She would have been very proud watching me reading the news. That's my boy, that's my boy. So, Mom, and Daddy too. Good morning. The clinic is up next. Hepatitis B.